no accounting. At the time of purchase order, no account. Next, at the time of goods receipt, after creation of purchase order, what they will do? Vendor will supply materials to us, to our godown, okay, to our manufacturing. Wherever you say, they will be supplying that material. So, what will be accounting entry at the time of goods receipt? Let's see here. Debit what comes in? Material or inventory? So always in interview, tell that inventory debit what comes in inventory. When you are purchasing to your warehouse, inventory is coming inside. Debit what comes in. Manakoste debit kabatti, debit will be the first line item and it will be in inventory. Inventory will be debit. Next, two, basically, if you are purchasing, you have to make payment to the vendor. Vendor will be here. But in FIMM integration, vendor will not come into the picture. Instead of vendor, GRIR account credit. GRIR account will come into the picture. In SAP, instead of vendor, GRIR account will come into the picture. What is GRIR account? GRIR account is an intermediate account between goods receipt and invoice receipt. Suppose you received goods for 100 quantity, you received invoice only for 90 quantity. To identify the differences between that, we use GRIR account. Okay, it's an interview question. GRIR account is an intermediate account between goods receipts and invoice receipt. GRIR account is an intermediate account. Clear? Next one. First step, second step. This is the accounting entry. Invoice receipt. At the time of invoice receipt, GRIR account debit to vendor account credit. So this is the accounting entry at the time of invoice receipt. Now what happens if your goods receipt is 100 quantity, if your invoice receipt is also 100 quantity, it will knock off each other and the balance will become 0. Ideally, GRIR balance will be 0 and final entry will be inventory debit, vendor credit. Now when you are making payment to the vendor, vendor account debit to bank account credit. This will be the accounting entry. Debit మనకి ఇన్వెంటరీ వస్తుంది కాబట్టి ఇన్వెంటరీ డెబిట్ చేసాం, GRIR అకౌంట్ క్రెడిట్ చేసాం, మళ్ళీ GRIR అకౌంట్ డెబిట్ చేసాం, వెండర్ ని క్రెడిట్ చేసాం ఇన్వాయిస్ అప్పుడు, మళ్ళీ వెండర్ ని పేమెంట్ చేసేస్తున్నాం కాబట్టి వెండర్ రివర్స్ అయిపోవాలి కాబట్టి వెండర్ ని డెబిట్ చేసేస్తున్నాం, మన దగ్గర నుంచి ఏదైతే వెళ్తుందో అది క్రెడిట్ కాబట్టి బ్యాంక్ క్రెడిట్ అయితే. Once again, try to understand this accounting entry. It's very simple, just tricky. It's very simple. If it is what comes in debit, what goes out credit. So inventory is coming inside debit, bank is going outside credit. This will be the final accounting entry. Inventory account data and bank will be the final accounting entry. These are all between transactions. Suppose if you see here, if I want to make you very clear understanding, inventory account, suppose inventory I am purchasing for 10,000, 10,000 will be in plus value and 10,000 will be in minus value. Minus 10,000. Okay, so this is the first accounting entry. Second accounting entry, GRIR account will be 10,000 and inventory account will be minus 10,000. So here these two accounts will get nullified. So GRIR account balance is 0. GRIR account balance will become 0. And when you are making payment, vendor will be debit and bank will be credit. Now again your vendor will become 0. So what is your final transaction? Debit inventory, credit bank. మనం పర్చేస్ చేసిన దానికి పే చేసాం బ్యాంక్ లో. దట్ ఈస్ ద ఫైనల్ అకౌంటింగ్ ఎంట్రీ. బట్ బిజినెస్ ఈస్ హ్యావింగ్ లాట్ ఆఫ్ స్టెప్స్, రైట్? వీఆర్ నాట్ డైరెక్ట్లీ పర్చేసింగ్ అండ్ వీఆర్ నాట్ డైరెక్ట్లీ పేయింగ్. There are so many business process in between in this process. That's the reason we have added additional accounting entries here. This is the final accounting entry. Clear? Accounting entries is it's simple, but you have to understand. Okay, so for to understand this, BTech is also fine. Accounting background is not at all required. Okay, there is nothing rocket science here, just 3 steps. I am telling very clearly: debit what comes in, credit what goes out. These are all in between transactions, just to identify. So try to understand. If you really don't understand, you please let me know. I can take separate session for accounting entries. Okay, I am happy to answer you with a separate session for accounting entries, but it is mandatory for you to understand. So if they ask P2P cycle in the interview, you should able to answer these accounting entries in the first step.